Hey everybody, joining us on our fifth Facilitators in the Hamilton Township School District, and I will be your host. First things first, let's get some housekeeping done. If you would like a copy of the presentation that I'll be using during this broadcast, just type in the URL bit.ly/ELLL S01.E05. It is case sensitive, so it's bit.ly/E, capital L, capital L, capital L, capital S, 01, capital E, 05. Type that into another window in your browser, and then you'll have access to this slideshow. There's some really great resources in this slideshow that you could refer to later on when you're trying to set up your teacher web pages. And as always, you could always reach out to one of the tech facilitators, and we'll be happy to guide you through the process. If you have any questions during the broadcast, utilize the chat feature, which we've opened again, to ask your questions. We ask that you keep the chat in the chat feature to questions and answers, just so we can kind of keep track of what's going on and we could answer everybody's questions in a timely manner. Another thing you need to be aware of is that if you want to receive PD credit for attending this EdTech Lunch and Learn Live, you must already be registered in My Learning Plan, and you must complete an exit ticket after the session is over, provide a reflection on what you've learned during this session, and it must be received by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning in curriculum and instruction. We will turn the form off after 9 a.m., so make sure that after this session is over, you fill out the form, provide your reflection, and have it in by 9 a.m. The link to that form will be provided in the chat feature at the end of this session. So hang tight, you will get the link to that form at the end. And if you need to refer to any of the sessions that we've recorded today or in the past, they will be available on our YouTube channel. You could always go back and refer to them there. Now, the goals of this session is to show you guys how to log on to your teacher websites. Some of you still are trying to input a username and password. There is a quick, easy sign in with Google button below the option to input your username and password. I will show you that. I do want to touch base really quickly before we go into the platform about ADA compliance and what that means. Then I will show you how to create and edit your web pages, how to add and edit content using the apps that are available to you in your teacher website, the easy and better way to post files on your teacher website using the Google Folder app, and then posting links using the Link Library app. And I will show you all this as we go along. So in this slideshow, I promised that I would have some links to some really helpful cheat sheets and help cards. On this slide, you're going to see some really great references to some tools that'll help you navigate and add content to your website once this session is over. So feel free to click on these links. They're really helpful 2-page PDF versions of some cheat sheets that you can click on anytime you need to. So let's really quickly talk about, what is ADA compliance? So ADA compliance is what we need to do as a district for the American Disabilities Act to make sure that any and all content that we provide on our websites, whether it be our district website, our school websites, or our teacher websites, so that people who have some disabilities will still have access to our content. So the same way we might provide ramps into our buildings for people with wheelchairs, or we might provide handicap stalls in our bathrooms, we also need to make sure that our information that is available electronically is ADA compliant. So people with vision issues or hearing issues still need to be able to navigate through our content when they're using assistive technology. What that means is that when we're creating our content, we need to use the built-in heading structure and not to skip numbers. So the same way we might create in a Google Doc a structure which allows us to A, either create a table of contents, or B, allow us to navigate to different parts of the document if it's a long document, that same concept will hold true when it comes to creating content on our teacher web pages. Use the built-in list tools such as bullets and numbers. Tables are not ADA compliant, and we refrain from using tables when we're building content on our teacher websites. When we add links and files to our teacher pages, we must use descriptive, clickable text and alternate text describing what those links are. If we have an image, we need to describe that image using alternate text. If we have a link to another website, we need to explain or describe that it is a link and what that other website is, and the same holds true for files. When a screen reader comes across a file, it needs to let the person using that assistive technology know that that is a link to a file and what that file is. So we need to make sure that we describe and provide alternate text to the different mediums that we're offering on our teacher web pages. And if and when we include videos on our teacher websites, we must make sure that it includes closed captioning. All the documents that you upload must also be accessible. So what that means is if we have a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document or a PDF that was created from a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document, they also need to have that structure so that when we put it onto our teacher web pages, those documents are also structured so that someone using assistive technology can navigate through that content. Again, we only use tables for tabular data. We recommend that you use bullets and lists instead. We need to check the reading level of our content and make sure that it's accessible for most people. They recommend up to a 6th grade, a middle school reading level. And we must make sure that the content on our web pages have a high contrast. So if we have a white or light background, we need to have very dark text and images, and vice versa. If we have a dark background, we need to have very light text and images so that there is a high contrast between background and content. So what is assistive technology? I've been talking a little bit about assistive technology. People with vision issues will need to use screen readers to navigate through our web pages. So the screen reader basically reads the content on the screen and allows the person using that device to navigate through the content and skip through the content that's not pertinent to them to get to the content that they're looking for. Otherwise, those people are forced to read through everything that we post on our teacher web pages, regardless of whether it's important to them or not, just to get to what they're looking for. In addition, people who have hearing issues, who might be deaf or hard of hearing, if you have a video on there, you need to have closed captioning on there because they might not be able to hear what's going on in the video, but they'll be able to read the closed captioning and be able to have an understanding of what that video is talking about. Some examples of other types of assistive technology that we might see through our everyday life would be speech to text and text to speech tools. That's assistive technology. The FM listening systems that we utilize in our classroom will wear a microphone around our necks so that people who have hearing issues, who might have microphones or headgear so that they can hear what you're saying, that's assistive technology. Those seat cushions or ball chairs that we provide some of our students, that's considered assistive technology. So we're familiar with assistive technology outside of websites. We just need to familiarize ourselves with what assistive technology means and how we can make assistive technology work when it comes to navigating the content that we provide on our teacher web pages. I have some links also on this slide presentation for best practices. Feel free to click on these links to try to get some additional assistance with making your content accessible. Okay, here's our contact information. I will show this at the end of the session today so that if you need to reach out to us, you can reach out to us, ask us any questions you have. We'll be more than happy to assist you. Now, in the meantime, let's talk about our teacher websites. So, from our district website or from any of our school websites, we can log in to our teacher websites. Now, how you would do that is if you go to where the sign-in button is on our district website. If you click sign in, it takes you to a sign-in page. Most people try to enter a username and password. That is not how we sign into our teacher websites. Scroll down and there's a red sign in with Google button. When you click that, if you are already signed into your browser, if you're already signed into Chrome, it will automatically take you in and sign you into your teacher web page platform. Otherwise, you'll just be prompted to putting in your district email login credentials. You use your district email username and your district email password. You know that you're signed in when that sign-in button turns into an account button. Now, in order to get to the management side of your teacher web page, just click on account and go to site manager. And this is what you guys would see. This is your management area of your teacher website. A lot of you will already have some pages already created for you, and you may or may not want those pages. It's totally up to you. We as a district thought we'd at least start you off with something. You'll notice that all of our pages are listed down the center, and there is an active button next to each page. If there are pages associated with our teacher website that we do not want as part of our teacher website, we can either make them inactive just by clicking that green button next to each page. You'll notice as I click on them, it becomes active and inactive. We could also delete pages that we don't want. So if I come over here to the Actions button, on the right-hand side of each of the pages, there's a drop-down menu. One of those options is delete. So I can just go ahead and delete. It'll say, are you sure you want to move this page into your recycle bin? And you would say yes, and now that page is gone. If I wanted to create a new page, I just have to click this green New Page button. First thing it's going to ask me to do is to name the page. So I'll call this my resource page, and I can name it anything I want. Then at this point, I could decide the type of page it's going to be. So theoretically, if I click one of these options, what that does is it puts a specific application on this page to display the content of the page in a certain way. What I'm going to do is make this a blank page so that I can show you what I mean by adding an app to a page. So I'll just make this a blank page, and then I'll scroll down to the bottom and I'll hit save and continue. So what that does is it creates a page. It's a blank page. It has no information in here, no application for me to add content to my page. So what I mean is this. A page on our teacher websites, the only way we can get content onto that page is if we use one of the apps over here on the right. you'll notice apps is highlighted here, and there's a bunch of apps available to us on the side, which will allow us to add content to our page. These apps are like containers of information that display content in a certain way. If I wanted to just click over here where my page is and start to type, nothing happens because we can't just type over here. If we wanted to add content to our page, we'd have to grab one of these applications, drag it over, and add content. So for instance, some of our options are, we have an assignment app that allows us to create a page specific to posting assignments to our students. If we wanted to create a blog page, there's a blog application that we could use. There's a calendar app that will make this page a calendar page for our students. There's all kinds of different applications. I can't possibly go over all of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this content app, and what I mean by grabbing is I'm going to wave my mouse pointer over that app. I'm going to click and hold and drag that application into this box, which allows me to drop it. And now that content app is on my page and I can add content to it. When I wave my mouse pointer over the app, I have the ability now to edit contents, add content to this app, edit the contents that already exist on this app. I can click on this trash can to delete the app if I pulled over the wrong app by mistake. I could even name the application to have a specific name. So if I were to click and highlight the word content, I can change this to my resources, and I could name that my resources instead of just a generic content. And now I'm ready to edit what's on this application. So I edit what's on this application by clicking the green pencil. Okay, that brings me into this content editor. This content editor should look somewhat familiar to you guys because it looks an awful lot like a Google Docs page or a Microsoft Word page where we have a toolbar up at the top and then an area to start typing. So if I click on this editor, I can start typing and adding content. So I can type in the words my resources and say I want to make that my title. Now we talked about ADA compliance, and so I really want to touch base on what that means when it comes to adding content to your page, and we talked about structure. So if I were to make this my title, I would type out the words to my title, then I would select the words that I just typed, and then there's a tool up here called headings. It's this T tool with a drop down arrow. And here I could now choose the structure of the content that I'm adding to my page. So let's just say I wanted to make this my title. I would click title. It automatically turns this into the title of my document. And if I look down at the bottom, it indicates that this text is an H1 structure level, which means it is my H1 title. Okay? Now, it automatically sets this up to be a certain font size and color. I could still, if I wanted to, by using the Styles button next to the Headings button, choose the size of the font. Maybe I want it to be a little bit larger, or maybe I want it to be a little bit smaller. I'm not restricted to the default that it makes it. Okay, I could also use the tools here to change the color of the font. Maybe I want to make it a dark blue. I can justify it and put it in the center of my page if I wanted to. So we have all these tools available to us to do whatever we wanted to in respect to the text that we provide on our page. Okay, now when I go down to the next line, you'll notice that the text I'm about to type just has this P span indication here, which means it has not been identified to be a header or a title or anything. So let's just say the first part of my resources, I might want to add some files. I could type out the word files, highlight it, and make that my first header or subtitle. I could make it a heading. So there's different levels that I can use here, and they recommend that you go in order. So let's just say I wanted to make my files a subtitle. And again, I could change the size of the font, the color, whatever I want. And then I could go ahead and start adding information here. All right, and then maybe I might want to have another subtitle called links, and I can highlight that, and I could come up here and make that a subtitle. So you'll see that I have the title of my page here, I have my subtitles here, and then I have my regular content here, and that just gives me structure to the content that I'm putting on my page, so that somebody who's using assistive technology, a screen reader specifically, that's trying to navigate through my page, when they come to this page, if they just want to go straight to links, they'd be able to go to that links structure right off the bat, because I've identified and made it so that they can jump from section to section. That's what creating the structure allows. Okay, now I also talked about tagging images and files on a page. So up at the toolbar here, there's these three options where I can insert a link, I can insert an image, or I can insert a file. When we do any of those three, we need to make sure we tag and use alternate text to name these. We'll do one at a time. So let's insert a link. If I click on the insert link option, most of the time we're going to link to a web address, so I can click web address. Let's just say for intensive purposes, I just want to put the Google search bar here. I can type out www.google.com. The text to display, I want to make sure that I describe what this link is to, so I'll say it's the Google search engine. And you always want to make sure that your target opens in a new window. And when you do, you click Insert Link. And now you'll notice that it says Google Search Engine here. When I click on that link, it will take me to the Google Search Engine. If I wanted to insert an image, I click on the Insert Image button. Now we have the opportunity to either upload an image from our computer, we can grab an image from our Google Drive, or somewhere up in the cloud. We could click on an existing image that we've used in the past. We have clip art options where we can click on an image from clip art. So we have different options when it comes to inserting an image. I'm going to go ahead and click on an image from the cloud. I can go to my drive. So it authenticates and it takes me to my drive. And then I can search for that image directly from my drive. So if I go to my website, School Photos, for instance, and I can choose one of the folders that I have in here, I could click an image, hit select, I'll hit continue. Here's my image. I provide alternate text, and I'll call this the Carolers. Now I can choose the size I want that image to be, and I could also choose the alignment, whether I want it on the left, on the right, or default, which is wherever I might have had my mouse pointer on my page. So I'll just use default. I can put a border on this image, so in pixels I can just say put a border of say 5 pixels. I could also add padding, maybe of 2 pixels around my image so that it pads it around some of the text that I might have had in the page, I can click Insert Image, and now I've just inserted my image. The cool thing is that let's just say I decided, wow, I didn't really want it to be that big. I can click on the image, grab the corner of the image and resize it and make it smaller if I'd like. Keep in mind, guys, that if you're going to include images of students, make sure that those parents have filled out their release forms so that those students can be put on the internet, on our web pages. Otherwise, you cannot use images of students. You might have to blur out their faces, or make sure that they're not facing the camera so you can't identify who those students are. So that's really important. And the last thing I wanted to show you was how to insert a file. So if you click on Insert File, again, you can upload a file from your computer or flash drive. You could grab a file from your Google Drive using a cloud. Most of us will probably grab from our Google Drive or upload from a flash drive. I tend to go to Google. So it'll authenticate again. It'll take me to my Google Drive. I could find a file either from a specific folder. I can grab the file, for instance, hit select, hit continue. Now I need to provide alternate text, so I need something that describes this file. I'll just call it important file for study. Again, your target should always be open in a new window. And then you click Insert File. And basically it just provides a link that will take me to that file. Once you are finished adding content to your page, you click Save. And then you close out, and you can view what that looks like by clicking the Preview button on the upper right-hand side of your screen. Click on Preview. And now this is what my page looks like. This is my heading, Files. This is where I typed out some content words. Now under Links, I have a link to that Google search engine. When I click on that, it takes me to the Google search engine. Here is the image. Notice that when I wave my mouse pointer over that image, the word carolers appears. The screen reader would actually read that to the person using the screen reader, and it described this images of carolers. And now here is my important file for study. I click on that, and here is my document, my file that I posted on my web page. Okay, I'm going to close out of here. And I just want to talk to you guys quickly about adding files and links a different way. If I wanted to create a new page and I wanted it specifically to be resources of files and links, I'm going to make this a blank page again. The best way that we found to post files on a teacher web page is through the Google Folder application. So if you look at your apps that are available over here on the right, one of them is called Google Folder. If you click and drag it up to your page, we now have that Google Folder application on our page. And just know that if I wanted to add a links library to that page where I wanted to curate some links, there's another application called Links. It's a links library application. If I click and drag that and bring it up to this green box, I could either put it above or below the Google Folder app that's already there, and I just click and drop it. Now I have a link library and a Google Folder application on this page. Again, we could name this app and call it Important Links. And we could name this folder and then call this important files. Now, most of the time we're going to have one application on each of our pages, but if we do run into a point where we have more than one app on a single page and we decide to name those apps, it's also important that when we're in this application that we go to our app options and we display the app title on the page. Now, as far as links go, you'll notice that when I go to edit the contents of this application, I get two options. One is that pencil that allows us to edit, and the other is a plus sign that just allows us to add. Most of the time, we'll just be adding links, but we may have the opportunity where we might want to remove a link from our website. I always recommend on clicking the pencil, because that'll just bring us right to where we can add and edit and delete all of our links right from here. So right now I don't have any links, so I'm going to go ahead and click New. Here I'll give my link a title. I can give this a description. All right, and if I scroll down, this is where I would put my address. Okay, so here is my link title or my friendly link name, my description, the web address that I want to go to, and I could even have a start date and an end date where this link will appear on my website and then disappear if I no longer need it. Once I put all that information in, I click Save. Oh, I entered an invalid address. We have to type out http://www, and now it took it. So you'll notice now that that link appears on the page. I can make them active and inactive right here, just as I would a web page on my teacher application. And I can edit it or delete it or do whatever I want right here. Also, I renamed this application Important Links. When you want that name to appear on your page, you need to come over here to Options. Here I can change the name if I wanted to. I could give this a description. But what's really important is that I click this button here that says Show the app name on my page. If I don't click this button, this name will not appear on my page. And then what's the sense of naming it if it's not going to appear? And once you do that, you click Save Options. So that's how you add links to your links library app. Now, I suggest we use the Google Folders app to add important files to your web page. Now, how we do that is this. We would create a folder specific to adding files to our teacher page. So we would go to our Google Drive, find a folder on our drive. Now we need to make sure that link sharing is on. So we can do that by clicking the Get Shareable Link button here. If it's not on, this toggle switch should be off and we'd have the opportunity to turn it on. Now this folder is only viewable by anyone in the Hamilton Township School District. If I wanted to change that to make it viewable by anyone, let's just say we wanted our parents to be able to see some of the information on here, we would just click on Share Settings, go to the Advanced tab, and here where it says anyone at Hamilton Township School District can view this link, click Change, and make sure that we make it public on the web or anyone with a link can view. Either one of these options will work. Click Save. Okay, make sure you copy the link. Click Done. Navigate back to our teacher web page. Now, we go in and we edit our Google folder. And here is where we would paste the shareable link. Once we paste the shareable link, we have the opportunity to either put it in grid view or list view. We can choose the size of the container in pixels. I generally keep that blank. Once we add the URL before we click save, let's click on options and make sure we click the button, the box that says show the app name on the page. Then we click save. I have it displaying in grid view, but we could also put it in list view. Now we can preview our page. So here is the important links section of that page and the important files section of that page. And you'll notice that all of the files that we had in our Google folder now appear on our teacher website. The last thing I wanted to show you really quick before I exit is that we know we can add pages by clicking new page. We know we can delete pages by coming over here to actions and clicking delete, but we can also change the order of our pages. If we click on organize pages, we can grab any one of our pages and drop them in a different order. If I wanted my assignments page to appear underneath my resources page, I can just click and drag and drop. If I wanted my resource page to be a sub-page of my About the Teacher page, if I just click on top of the About the Teacher page, I'll notice a plus sign appear. I can release it there, and it now becomes a sub-page. So depending on where I want my page to appear, if I drop it where a line appears, it becomes its own page. If I drop it and a plus sign appears, it becomes a sub-page. Once I'm done putting my pages in the order I'd like, I click save, and then I'm done. Another way to view your teacher website would be to come up to the top of your screen here of your management area and click View Website. And here I get a full view of all of the pages that I've created. And that's teacher web pages in a nutshell. I tried to be quick and didn't want to overload you with too many things. What I really want you to take away from this is that A, you need to make your teacher sites ADA compliant, and B, all of these applications that you notice here on the right hand side can be used to add content to your pages. Play around. We have links to some cheat sheets that you can utilize to figure out what each of these different applications do. You can use this embed code application to embed a video on your page. There's a gallery, a photo gallery application if you wanted to do a photo gallery on your web page. There's so many different ways to add content to your pages. Utilize the links in my presentation to use those cheat sheets so that you can figure out how to use these. Also, from your management area, there's an How Do I button up here at the top of the page. If you click on How Do I, it brings you to a help screen. And here you can literally just type in whatever it is you're looking for help with. So maybe I want to learn more about photo gallery page. I can just type in photo gallery app, hit search, and anything related to the photo gallery app will appear. I could type in the word help cards, and all of the different help cards that I have links to in my presentation will appear. So if I wanted a cheat sheet on the calendar app, I can click on calendar app help card. It's a PDF, and here's that cheat sheet that will kind of walk me through the process of using the calendar app. Okay? Guys, thanks for participating and watching. Please feel free to reach out to myself, Cara, and Joe if you have any questions. We're always happy and willing to help you guys out. We know that this whole remote learning process has been difficult. Teacher websites is just one way that you could, or one tool that you can use to collaborate with your students and your parents. Good luck, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.